All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. We have a looming government shutdown. Still haven't agreed on anything, although the president is set to speak at 11 a.m. today. And I think he does another press conference at 3 p.m. Let me see. So NASDAQ, S&P, slightly down for both of these. They're pretty close to flat, but they are red. Gold is down on the day as well. It's pulled back drastically around 39. Seems like a good dip to buy personally, but I think maybe if they get a deal done, gold's gonna fall down maybe. But dollar is softening, yields are under pressure. If we take a look at treasury yields, yeah, if you look at yields are mostly down over the last 3 days. Most people widely expect that we're going to cut rates in the October meeting, regardless of whether the shutdown happens. And remember, like, if the shutdown happens, economic data gets pushed back. So we're supposed to have a pretty big labor report at the end of this week on Friday at 8:30. If we shut down even for a day or two, that labor report is going to get pushed back probably to next Friday. But yeah, you can see yields are actually pretty flat on the day, but they're down net over the last few days. If we take a look at the CME watch tool right now, because remember, today's the last day of September. We are at about 91% chance of a 25 basis point cut in October. It's 25. This would be a pause. And about an 8.59% chance of a pause. So that's what we got on the news today. Nvidia's up. So Nvidia is actually green on the day. Amazon's red. Gold pulled back pretty heavily. But yeah, there's no deal yet. Talks between the president and congressional leaders ended without resolution. If the government does shut down, HHS, which is health and science agencies, are going to be hit with a furlough of 32,460 staff, which is about 41% of the workforce if the shutdown happens. Airlines warn that a shutdown could slow flights, delay safety inspections, all that other stuff. The crypto market structure bill, which was already pushed back, may be further delayed if we do have a lapse in funding with the government shutdown. But again, the president is supposed to speak today. They said he might make an announcement today in relation to the shutdown and spending talks, which is fueling speculation. It's supposed to be an 11 a.m. announcement. Could be a lot of different things. It could be a White House address, press release outlining terms, update on plans, statements for next steps, aggressive signaling. We don't know what he's going to say at 11, but we'll see if he says anything good. Hi, John. Would you please print the date on the screen? Today is September 30th, 2025. And yeah, Nvidia's up. NASDAQ's still in this 24,000 range, between like 775 and 815, I would say, is the range. What caused gold to pull back this much? Yeah, look at this big gold pullback. It got up to almost 3,900, and then it had a huge pullback. Look at this pullback. Does anybody know? We're gonna do a poll. What's a good option for the poll today? Give me some options for the poll. Are you cold? Yeah, my wife keeps it kind of cold here. I'm alright. I'm okay. But Yeah, look at that wild pullback, man. We got up to almost 3,900 early this morning, late last night. And then had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 red candles in a row. Yeah, it could be. I mean, the dollar index spiked at the same period, so a stronger dollar pushes gold down a little bit. There's some chatter that the White House might issue clarification on its tariff plans to intervene in policy that would affect gold and precious metals. So, yeah, because if you look at the Dixie, same thing. Dixie spiked up at that period of time. Same period between like 3 and 4. But this gold move actually happened a little bit earlier. Gold move happened at like 1:45 market time. You know what's weird about my charts on TOS? Is that these charts, they look to be set to Central Time. Yeah, like this is Central Time. But then when I look at the world clock at the top, it's okay, there we go. CoreWeave. Article about Citibank analyst raising its price target. Open. Yeah, what did Nasdaq? Nasdaq ended up trailing red yesterday. Nasdaq was red. All right, so the president's schedule today. We got an 11 a.m. announcement from the Oval Office, and then a 3 p.m. executive order signing at the Oval Office. China's President Xi at the PRC founding anniversary reception said, quote, "We must firmly oppose," or that he firmly opposes the separatist act of Taiwan independence, end quote. Also, we had Fed's Jefferson speak this morning. He said he saw 1.5% growth, warns of labor market risks. The Federal Reserve Vice Chair Philip Jefferson said U.S. growth will likely stay near 1.5% through 2025, but warned the labor market could weaken without the Fed's support. Speaking in Helsinki, he defended the Fed's September rate cut as balancing inflation with growing job market concerns. He said inflation should move closer to 2% target after this year specifically. He noted uncertainty from the president's policies, especially tariffs, which he expects will increasingly affect inflation and jobs in the coming months. And that's the Fed's Jefferson. He also said if labor force growth continues to slow, it will impact the GDP and output gap. What's a good poll, guys? I need a good poll. Y'all help me out here. Yeah, y'all hit the like button. We appreciate it. Hey, what's up, Faye? G, Viking, Beamer, Arif, Todd, Jesse, everybody else. Sorry, I don't feel like going through the list, but what's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? Trying to wake up a little bit. We got the JOLTS job report today, too. Yeah, we got JOLTS. Exxon is going to cut 2,000 workers as oil sector job loses Mount. JP Morgan raises GM target to 80 from 60. The EV tax credit expires today. Kroger's delivery expansion with DoorDash is bad news for Instacart, analysts say. Okay, we can do that. Well, the U.S. government shut down tomorrow. That's a pretty good one. The answer is probably. Probably. I mean, there's a chance. It's not a large chance that we get something done. There's a chance. I hope they do, because I'd love to cover the labor report on Friday. Yeah, we got JOLTS coming out. The poll is live right now. 62% people say yes. I kind of want to buy gold right here, but I'm a little nervous. Like the risks with buying gold here, I think, or is that if they, and I think it's pretty low probability. So, but either way, I'm gonna just buy it in a combine account, I think. And like, I wanted to buy it a little bit lower. And then the plan right now is just to kind of scale into this as time goes on. Here's gold. I'm gonna just add more to it on this dip. Gold had a hefty pullback. And I think gold wants 4,000 as well, right? And so I think there's a high chance that gold moves up, tests 4,000, and then moves back down. But remember, guys, I'm not an investment professional. You know, not liable if you lose. Don't copy me. You know, understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I don't even claim to be a good trader. Don't copy me. But yeah, we'll see what gold does. I think it'll probably bounce back, but we don't know. We don't know how long that might take. John, can you explain, like you talked to a 9-year-old kid, what the government shutdown is and how it can affect markets? So every quarter, I think, and I might be wrong about this, but every quarter they release, funding bills or funding plans for their federal employees. All right, and then usually they also try to throw some other stuff in. Sometimes they'll politically posture, sometimes they'll do all these different things, and if they can't get an agreement done, one side doesn't like the tariffs, and I'm trying to think about the let me look at the talking points for it and the disagreements this time. But one side doesn't like the tariffs, the other side, I can't think of it. Sorry, I cover so much data here. I can't remember exactly what both sides' arguments are this shutdown. I know one side doesn't like the tariffs. The other side wants to let go of like Fed employees, is what I remember. They want to lay off some people. And so both sides are kind of deadlocked, and they're using it to politically posture. And so essentially what happens is that if they can't agree on funding, they're going to have to furlough federal employees while the government is shut down. That's what they mean by shut down, is that federal employees of the government are going to not be able to work for however long this lasts, and thus they can't produce the economic data that comes out on Friday. If it lasts really long, it might push back CPI inflation, which is a much bigger report. I don't know. Labor report's pretty big this week, but do you buy calls or actual stocks for gold? If it depends on what time frame I'm trading it. Long term, I'd probably just buy stocks or ETFs. Short term, I could buy futures. Depends on how long the trade's gonna be, though. Again, this is a combine account that I'm already pretty green on, so I'm just gonna add to this, and we'll play with the risk. Yeah, so like every year Congress has to pass bills to fund the government. Before September 30th is what it is. Maybe it's not quarterly. It's before September 30th. The end of the fiscal year is when it's for. Lawmakers can't agree on this, essentially. And so, again, I think the current administration wants deep spending cuts, policy changes. The other side doesn't like the tariffs and the bills that they're trying to put in, and so it's just kind of like a big disagreement. And again, both sides use it to politically posture, right? If no deal is reached, money legally stops flowing and parts of the government shut down, workers get furloughed, services pause, job reports don't come out, which again, I'm very much against. All right, look, we're up pretty nicely here on this trade. We got a spike in gold. I'm gonna add a little bit more, just keep 5 contracts here and just let this hang out. If we go up a little bit higher here, I'll take some off. Spotify announces leadership adjustment. Daniel EK is going to become executive chairman. Yeah, and so the shutdown isn't really about money. They act like it is. It's more about political posturing. What it is. There we go. We got another spike here. I got to take some of this off now. I'm going to take just 2 contracts off. And we're going to sit on 3 and then maybe add some more to it. Let it work up to here to the 200 EMA maybe. Yeah, well, they get paid back, but that's what they mean by shutting down, is that like we're not going to have some of the workers for the government that, you know, cover economic data releases and all the other stuff that's supposed to come out. Yeah, I'm going to put a stop sell. How many orders do I have here? 2, right? Down here. Get a nice push up though. We're basically back up to that. I'm gonna take a little bit more off right there. And then we'll hold the Ugh. I don't know why I've been sneezing so much in the morning, but man, I've been sneezing in the morning. Man, look at this pump on the NASDAQ here. Oh. Alright, so we will go ahead and take the rest off here, I think. Cut this. Not a bad little trade to start the day here. That's good. Could be allergies, I don't know. Bitcoin went slower. Where's Bitcoin at? I know Bitcoin, like the last time. Yeah, so it went all the way up to 115s yesterday. Back down to 113s, but it's back up a little bit. It's looking a little healthier right now. Yeah, the longest shutdown in history lasted. And again, I'm personally against that. I don't want the government to shut down. Like, I cover all the economic data, you know? Like, I'd love for the economic data to still come out. But, you know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, whether you guys talked about gold, there's so many different people that talk about gold. Look at that bounce right at 800. So again, I don't know if you talked about gold or not. I'm really not sure. Government shutdown today. Still happening. But the president's supposed to speak at 11 and then sign an executive order at Dude, I accidentally bumped the mic. So what I was saying is that it's not like the here, let me pull this back a little bit. It's not like markets are brutally red. Nasdaq's mostly flat. Gold pulled back heavy at like 3 a.m. So did the dollar index, bouncing at around 4 a.m. But the Nasdaq is red, but not like super red. And same thing with the S&P. Like the S&P's red. It's not like brutally red. They're mostly flat. Like the E-mini 6703 is where it's at now. 6708 is the previous close. So it's pretty much flat. It's down a little bit. It's like $5, but it's not like some big brutal red day or anything in markets. It's just not that. You know, we pulled back a little bit yesterday though. See if the Nasdaq keeps climbing up. I'm watching that 800 level, that 815 level here. What's your sentiment on the government tomorrow? I really don't know, man. I think I think we're probably gonna shut down. Yeah, I think we're probably going to shut down. I think we're probably going to shut down at least for a couple days. And so I'm just preparing for that, to be honest. Watching gold, been trading gold a little bit under this circumstance. Yeah, so, I mean, the situations in which we could... the situations in which we could avoid the government shutdown is a short-term stopgap funding. Quick compromise deal with both parties having to, you know, give up some of what they want, really, in a bipartisan push that sidelines hardliners. If none of that happens before tomorrow, yeah, so Congress has to pass a funding bill or a short-term, which is a continuing resolution. And the president signs it. No deals are in place. Negotiations are still ongoing. We'd have to have a same-day rushed funding vote. It's happened before. They can move very fast when markets panic. And so I think if markets start to go down, maybe they'll get a deal done. No vote is scheduled yet, which makes it pretty high risk today. And I think it's pretty likely, though, that we're going to shut down. But you never know. Anything could happen. We could come out of this. It is different than last time. This time it's a little bit more likely to be shut down. Last time we got a deal done right before, but... Well, crypto might run it all. Like, sometimes crypto runs when other markets are closed. Markets are going to be open, though. But if we have, like, a distrust to the system play, like, sometimes you'll see crypto move up because of, like, big distrust to the system. Right, we saw this during a few years ago when we had those regional bank failures. A lot of people in like bank skepticism, and so a lot of people moved to crypto, and Bitcoin ran during those moments. And so if we get a dynamic like that, that's a situation where we could see crypto run despite everything else. And I think maybe the longer we shut down, the better it is for Bitcoin and crypto, but this is just speculation. I don't really know. Yeah, a lot of people talking about Uptober, which is like September slump, and then you have Uptober where markets move up. It's not always the case, though. Again, anything could happen. This September, I think we're actually green, right? Let me see. Taking a look at the NASDAQ here in September. Yeah, we're green in September. September started here. So NASDAQ was at 570 or so. It's currently at almost 600. So we've actually had a pretty green percentage-wise September here. I mean, I could check out. Sorry, I'm checking out what you're saying about. I gotta be careful because sometimes people are pumping crypto, so that's the only reason I deleted that just in case. But ASTR is actually up a bunch, long term. Short term, I don't know what it's gonna do. I don't know anything about it though. I'll check it out. Just y'all let me know. Everybody else let me know if that's like a pump. I don't think it is. The long-term chart's okay. Like, this is the long-term chart. I'm not telling you to buy it. No idea anything about this, and you know. But that's the long-term chart. Not bad. Shutdown is supposed to happen at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard. Yeah, 11:59 Eastern time tonight. At 12:01 Eastern time, the government will officially be officially have a shutdown if they don't get a deal done before then, right? But the deadline is 11:59 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Yeah, I'm looking at other stuff. I don't see any data. We do have the JOLTS report, the job report, going live at 10 a.m. today. AT&T CEO says quarter has been consistent with what they have been forecasting on CNBC. But yeah, this morning we do have some stuff dropping here. We've got the JOLTS job report expected at 7.1 million, Chicago PMI and CB consumer confidence. We also have the Case-Shiller house price index dropping at 9 a.m. today. We'll cover all of that stuff when it happens, but again, the president's supposed to speak at 11 about something. He's supposed to make some type of Oval Office announcement. We'll see what he says. Yeah, if we shut down, it essentially means that they're gonna have to furlough a bunch of federal employees, and they're not gonna be able to release the labor report on Friday this week. They're not going to be able to, if it continues, like last one was 35 days, which is kind of crazy. But if it continues, then it'll push back CPI as well, unfortunately. So it's 11 a.m. He'll probably, realistically, it's scheduled for 11. He'll probably speak at like 11:30 or 12. Yeah, I mean, remember, these government shutdowns are mostly political posturing. That's mostly what this is, right? Like, both sides are basically like, hey, look how hard I'm working for you guys over here, you know? Like, I don't know, man. Yeah, I made a bunch of Bitcoin. I'm still in Bitcoin. Yeah. Like, I like Bitcoin. I don't know a lot of the altcoins, so I don't follow them. It's just not something I'm following as much. Yeah, I think right now I'm in Bitcoin XRP, Doge, and a couple other, like, I'm in some stuff. I've been in it a long time. Hey, thank you, Viking. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. Music is vibey? Yeah, I guess. Whatever that means. You guys still like buying gold right here. Yeah, shout out to Viking for the $20 gift memberships. Appreciate it, man. Viking's like Oprah today. Handing out memberships. We appreciate it. Thank you. Music is bullish? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Viking. Yeah, appreciate it, man. You've been promoting this stream all morning, man. I appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right, NASDAQ's still pushing up. Now we got a whole bunch of members here, you know, which is good. Solana, yeah. Might be in Solana too. I'm in a bunch of stuff. I gotta go check. Yeah, Tilray ran yesterday. I'm looking at it. A couple people mentioned it. It's back down a little bit. It hit 217s though. The problem is like President posted something about CBD. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not really bullish on cannabis. And maybe I'm wrong here. It's just I've seen enough pushes for legalization and then nothing, right? Like one side says they'll legalize, then they get both seats, and then they don't do it, right? Then most likely what happens is big PAC money comes in opposing it, and they get a bunch of lobbyist donations or they get a bunch of lobbyists and donations, and then they don't legalize it, right? This is what happens almost every single time. And so because of that, I'm just gonna hold a degree of skepticism around legalization. And because I've seen Tilray since it was really young as a stock. It went up to 300 a share. ACB is still moving, and that's great. I just don't know if we're gonna get legalization. Most of the time it's just posturing. Yeah, Robinhood's up huge, man. Look at Robinhood. Look at the NASDAQ pulled back here. Something happened. Hold on, let's see. Look at that drop. Nvidia KeyBank raises their price target to 250. I don't think that's driving negative momentum here, though. Maybe it's just a big candle. I don't know. Look at that candle right here. Kind of strange out of left field, but... It's not Nvidia. Not Apple. Not really Microsoft either. I don't know where that candle's coming from. It looks big to me. Maybe I'm just zoomed in too much. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, 200 exponentials here, but it looks like it's going to keep trying. 800s right here. It could bounce. Yeah, look, see, we're still dropping here. We just broke under 800s. The drop still happening at 97s. We're still sideways in range if you zoom out, but still dropping here. Look at this. Yeah, I saw the Spotify guy leaving earlier, and that made Spotify drop, but Spotify's been bouncing back the last 5. I think the government will shut down this time, I think, personally. Maybe I should short this right here. Let's short this level. Like 4. We already got a pretty big cushion in here, so like we'll be alright regardless. But I think this time it's more likely the government shuts down. We're very close to the deadline now. And I know historically sometimes they say, oh, the government's going to shut down, and then they get a deal done right before it. I don't know if this is the instance they do, though. We'll see. Yeah, we're basically flat on this now. Trying to give it time. Yeah, y'all hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. Look at that Bitcoin still. Not gonna add to this. I think I'm just trying to be patient here. I hope they don't shut down. Listen, I cover all the big economic data. That's like what my channel does. But I don't want them to shut down. But I think this time looks more likely they will. But it doesn't mean it's 100%. There's ways they could avoid it. Again, they'd have to pass a funding bill or short-term resolution, continuing resolution. The president has to sign it. Yeah. But we'll see. Yeah, I'm probably going to cover this. Kind of just chopping sideways here, so I'm just going to get out. We're still green, very green on the day. So every year, they have to sign a funding bill for the federal government. Before September 30th. Or on or before September 30th. If they do not, they have to furlough, I think, what is it? 60% of federal employees And that means they're not going to have employees to put out the economic data. They're not going to have employees that essentially help put out the economic data. So it's going to push the economic data back, and there's going to be a bunch of federal employees furloughed. And the president's side is pushing for, he's pushing for layoffs, I'm pretty sure. He thinks they need to shrink the size of the government. And then the other side disagrees with the tariffs, and essentially, you know, they're, again, both sides use this for political posturing. And the big beautiful bill they have a problem with. So yeah, but the president's set to speak and sign speak today at 11 and sign an executive order at 3 p.m. So we'll see if that happens. But I probably could have held this. Barely got squeezed out, just barely. Yeah, I mean, I'm very green on the day. You can't expect to win everything. I might short this again, but we will see. Take 4, maybe 5, and if we push up fast, I'm just gonna cut it quick. I just want to see if we shrink back down a little bit now. And if this doesn't work, I'm gonna move back to gold. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna move back to gold. There we go. A little bit better. But we're just choppy right now. I mean, maybe this is what the market expects, but we're still up like $100 on the day here. I think I'm gonna move back to gold though. Gold, I just have much better range trading it. But markets are kind of flattening out here. They really are. Like, look at gold. I take bigger risks closer to the bell. It's just so it's early in pre-market right now, so I'm trying to just be safe. So okay, the disagreements and sticking points to the government shutdown are these. The Dems are insisting that any stopgap funding must include an extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies and tax credits for health insurance. Republicans are pushing for a clean continuing resolution without these add-ons. Democrats want to reverse or prevent proposed cuts to Medicaid and protect funding for health programs. GOP leaders resist doing that as part of the shutdown avoidance bill, arguing such changes should be debated later. Repubs want to attach and enforce policy changes like staffing reductions, regulatory pullbacks, regulatory rollbacks, and tariff measures, immigration on border enforcement to the funding bill. And the Dems oppose this, seeing them as extraneous demands that hold funding hostage to ideological goals. Both Republicans control House and Senate. Democrats argue GOP should take responsibility for passing a funding bill. The Repubs counter that the Dems refuse to negotiate or cave on policy demands, pushing blame onto them. The Repubs propose a short-term funding extension, continuing resolution through November 21st to give time for broader negotiations. So basically, they want a little bit longer. They want to delay the shutdown until November, potentially, and let them try to get a deal done. The Dems say they won't support a CR that doesn't address healthcare and social programs issues now, not later. The White House has also instructed agencies to prepare for mass firings of Fed employees if funding lapses, which escalates the stakes. The Dems say this is political intimidation. And so that's basically what we got right now. So we did buy gold here, and this just kind of proves I do better with gold. I'm gonna start liquidating even more of this. We're over $200 in profit right now. We just gotta see if we can let this run a little bit longer. Yeah, it's not gonna crash. I don't think so, at least. I don't know. Gold is pretty flat. The NASDAQ, I don't know what the NASDAQ looks like. I'm going to hold this rest break even. We're up a couple hundred on the day. I want to let it work a little bit and see if it continues up, though, for gold. I'll take the rest off right here if I can. But I gotta let it see if it hits that. Yeah, I'm gonna cut it break even. So we're up from this, which is good. NASDAQ's still pretty flat here, look. Bus says we're building Grokkapedia. OPEC Plus is going to discuss 500,000 barrels per day hike a month over 3 months delegate. They're going to consider stepping up output hikes over the next 3 months. Again, Nvidia raised, had their price target raised by KeyBank to 250. John Vin raised Nvidia's price target from 230 to 250, keeping it overweight rating. Strong COWOS supply for 25 and 26. Improving rack manufacturing yields and upgraded specs. And again, we did have the Chinese President Xi at a PRC founding anniversary reception that said they must, quote, firmly oppose this, end quote, separatist act of Taiwan independence. NASDAQ's coming down, gold's coming down a little bit, but we're pretty sideways in range here. Look at the range right now. If you look at it longer term, we're like, we got a decent range here, but we're mostly flat. We're not really moving too much. We're going up and down in the range. NASDAQ's the same way. Gold dipped pretty big this morning. You can kind of see gold have this big pullback at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. They dipped all the way down to 38.20s. They got basically to 3,900 though, and I think gold wants 4K. And so I think gold wants 4,000. Looking at our poll number, 64% think the government is going to shut down today. We'll see. Yeah, so usually what stocks do during shutdowns is they might go down a little bit leading into the shutdown, and then once the shutdown happens, things basically stabilize. Sometimes they move up during the shutdown too. It just depends, right? In 2018, 2019, which was the longest shutdown in history, 35 days, S&P rose 10% during the period, helped by Fed dovishness, of course, but like, you know, sometimes it's kind of buy the rumor, sell the news. We dip like leading into the shutdown, and then once the shutdown happens, we kind of stabilize. Not always though. Dollar can weaken during the shutdown. Confidence dips. Traders can hedge into gold during these. So Gold can also catch interest as traders hedge political chaos and use it as a safe haven. The biggest market impact isn't from the shutdown, but from the delay in economic data like the jobs report, CPI potentially next month. And without this, the Fed has less visibility, and so they're essentially flying blind. What they mean by flying blind is that they have to make decisions in terms of like rate cut decisions without seeing the most real, the most recent data, right? Because the government shut down, it doesn't release the data, and so the Fed's unable to see it, and so in turn, they're kind of stuck, and they got to make decisions anyway, and so, yeah. Yeah, Friday's report, even if we just shut down for a day, Friday's report's probably not coming out. Like, essentially the standard, I think, and I might be wrong here, but I think the standard that they use is that if the government shuts down, even if it's just for a day, you need the federal government to be back in business for at least 2 days, I think. It might be 2 to 3 days in order for the economic data to come out. And so if we shut down Wednesday, we're not going to get the Friday report. It'll probably get pushed to next week. And next week we'll get all these different reports. So we'll still get the ADP non-farm employment data on Wednesday, though. We'll get the non-farm employment change. Yes, that one is not government data. So even if the government shuts down, we're still going to get Wednesday at 8:15 the non-farm employment change data. The BLS is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's part of the Department of Labor. That's the one that's going to get pushed back if we shut down. Yeah, I kind of want to buy this dip, maybe in gold still, but you know, I think gold's going to benefit if the shutdown happens, but yeah, Bitcoin kind of trades like a risk asset. Bitcoin can drop if we shut down leading into the shutdown, and then maybe once fear stabilizes, it can start to rebound during the shutdown, especially if we get like a distrust to the system play. That's possible, but I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. What do you guys think Bitcoin's going to do if we shut down? Yeah. And we got the JOLTS job report in about an hour and 50 minutes. So in a couple hours, we do have the JOLTS report, and we're going to cover it live when it happens. The JOLTS report is at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today. We got the JOLTS report 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Interesting report on the eve of the shutdown. But yeah, it's going to be at 10 a.m. CB Consumer Confidence. We also got Chicago PMI and stuff. And then the president speaks at 11 at the Oval Office. Maybe he's going to announce something regarding all this stuff. I don't really know. I can't really see a reason gold tanked at 3 a.m., but I do see it tanked for sure. That's the first thing I noticed when I woke up this morning. I think it went to 3,900, and then people just started taking profit there, but could be Dixie, like the dollar index influenced. Dollar index started bouncing right around the same time, but I don't know. I think this situation is more likely that we shut down, though. Last time we got a deal done, but I think this time there's a lot of disagreements. We'll see. Johnson says he's skeptical about avoiding a shutdown. House Speaker Johnson said he's skeptical of avoiding it. Again, oil prices are down to 62 a barrel on reports that OPEC is considering a 500,000 barrel per day output hike every month for the next 3 months. So maybe we'll see gas prices go down, but looking at our poll, 65% of people think we are going to shut down today. What do you guys think? Vote. Yeah, in that context, maybe Bitcoin does well. I don't know. It's possible for sure. All right, guys. So weird. Yeah, it's gonna be 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, 11:59 Eastern time. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I get it. I'm skeptical of them getting a deal done, but they could always swoop in at the last minute and have the president sign something. But the left says they don't want to do a continuing resolution deal, which would basically delay it until I think the right wants. I think the right wants November. Is the shutdown today or tomorrow? So today's the deadline at 11:59 p.m. tonight is the deadline. Yeah, I mean, we might get negative reactions leading into the shutdown and then positive reactions afterwards. It just depends on how long it lasts, is what I see. It just depends on how long it lasts. Yeah, my Astros aren't in the playoffs. I'm mad about it. All right, so Lombardelli, Bank of England's Lombardelli, may want to respond to temporary rises in inflation if you think they'll have more persistent effect. Again, House Speaker Johnson, again, saying he's skeptical about avoiding a shutdown. Top 3 most wrong ever. Copper and platinum might be better than gold. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, bonds are mostly, I think they're mostly down over the last few days. If you look at bonds here. Or no, yields are down. Bonds are, let me see. Yeah, here's bonds. A little bit longer term bonds, but they're mostly down for September. Yields are up, but we did a rate cut earlier, so put a daily chart up. Yields are, bond prices are higher and yields are lower because interest rates and yields follow each other, right? So with rate cuts, we're gonna have a lower interest rate sentiment and yields are gonna fall and bond prices are gonna go up. And so yeah, September bonds are doing okay. Last few days, bonds are still pushing up though. We'll see what happens. Nasdaq's very flat right now. It's really hard to trade this. The biggest pump ever will start today in what? Yeah, I hope Bitcoin bounces back. People really believe they will let the gov shut down. It's not that I believe they're going to let the government shut down. I think we've seen different moments like this in history where they have. And so, again, one of my favorite quotes, Mark Twain or somebody, I don't know who it was. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And so we'll see if we get another shutdown. The last one in 2017, 2018? 35-day shutdown last time. So, yeah, 2019, 35 days, the longest ever. S&P rose 10% during the shutdown period. Fed was dovish in that part of time as well, but yeah, we got Lagarde speaking in 32 minutes. Holland speaking in 42 minutes. The Case-Shiller House Price Index in 42 minutes at 9 a.m. But outside of that, the big report today is at 10 a.m. So it's not at 8:30. The big report today is at 10 a.m. for the JOLTS job opening report. It's a early look at labor. And yeah, higher means more jobs. Yeah, I'm just saying, based off of what they're both saying, it seems less likely that they're going to get a deal done before the shutdown happens. Maybe they do. Again, the president does have an 11 a.m. Oval Office announcement followed by a 3 p.m. executive order signing. Now, I think this would go either way. I think some of the people on the right, including the president, have threatened firings in the Fed for the government. That could be what this is, where it's kind of a last minute, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do, you know, let's get a deal done, or this is going to happen. I think that might be what this is. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think the 11 a.m. announcement at the Oval Office is going to be for? I'm assuming whatever the 3 p.m. executive order signing is going to be announced at 11. But I might be wrong. You never know. It's probably going to be around 11:30 by the time the president actually starts speaking. Usually they're a little late, but I like the Big Short one. The truth is like poetry, and most people effing hate poetry. I like that quote. That's a good quote too. Yeah, maybe Kudo. Yeah, they could do a delay of the shutdown. DR. I think they want it until November 21st. They could just push it back. We'll see. We're so choppy right now in everything. Look at gold. Gold. NASDAQ. What are you guys trading this morning? I'm for the kick the can routine. I'd rather them get a deal done. You know, like I got economic data I got to cover, and so I'd rather them get a deal done. You know, I mean, even if we don't, we're still gonna get the data. It just might be pushed back. That'll never happen, V. You might I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. Yeah, today we either go up, down, or sideways today, for sure. You know, that's my guess. Yeah, gold is down a lot this morning. Look at gold. Gold had this big pullback. I don't know why. It started right here at like 230. Gold came all the way back down to here. And then it's basically been bouncing back up since. And now it's just kind of sideways. But thanks for the email? Bro, I didn't send you an email, dude. You get an email from somebody claiming to be me. It ain't me. Again, if somebody reaches out to you in Discord and pretends to be me, it's not me. Alright, that's how scammers get people. So if anybody ever reaches out to you in Discord and like, hey, this is John from Beginner Trading, that's not me. I'm not reaching out to any of you guys. You know, no offense. It's all love. But I'm not reaching out to you. And so if somebody reaches out to you and tries to get you to click on a link, don't do it. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. We got a bunch of fake pawns sometimes that join the Discord and then they try to message people and act like they're like, hey, you know, go to this link, ... Yeah, it's the last day of the month. NASDAQ pushing back up. Let's see. Again, I'm looking at NVIDIA. NVIDIA's actually green on the day. It's very slight. Here's the previous closing price on NVIDIA right here. And this is where NVIDIA's at. So NVIDIA is basically flat, slightly green technically. I just signed up for your Discord special course. Hey, it's not me, but maybe the scammers course is good. You know, I'm not saying it is. It's wild that people fall for that stuff. You'd be surprised at what people fall for, man. And it's a numbers game, I think, to them, right? So eventually they're going to find somebody dumb enough that falls for it. Usually it's a mix of like naivete, confirmation bias, and just lack of experience on the internet. You know, like they want to believe it's true. If somebody tells them that they're an investment professional and they're gonna make 100% in a week, they want to believe it's true. You know, it might be naive and think it is true and think that this is how investment professionals reach out to people. It's not. All right, it's not. You know. All right, we're up to 816s. Yeah. Yeah, bro, I got an email from I think, what did they pretend to be this time? It's got to be one person just messing with me at this point. What do people have the time for, man? Like, y'all don't have better time than this? Who falls for this? Wait, let me see the scams. Hold on. I think the last one was Febreze. They're like, hey, it's Febreze. We want to sponsor your channel. It's like, no, you don't. Get out of here. Ridiculous. Like, come up with a better premise, at least, man. You know, don't pretend to be Febreze. Like, Febreze is out here looking, being like, you know what? I like that guy, John. You know, he looks like he smells good. Febreze. You know, the most unrealistic thing ever. Like, you would think they have better options, but I think what it really is that they're just sending out mass emails to as many different online people as they can, hoping somebody's dumb enough to fall for it. I don't even open the emails. I really don't. I'm not opening that. It would be he smells bad? I don't know. I'd like to believe they were like, you know what? That guy John over there at Beginner Trading, he looks like he smells good, you know? Let's sponsor him, you know? I think that's how it would be. But maybe I'm the top 3 stinkiest guy ever. I don't know. That might be true. That hurts, Matthew. Don't say it, man. My Astros, man. It hurts. Honestly, the Bengals lost yesterday. The Saints haven't won a game. You know, LSU lost to Ole Miss, their rivals. I'm just not happy about football right now. Or baseball. I'm not really happy about any of it. I'm not really going to root for the Yankees. No offense. they're just the most wealthy team in baseball, and so I have a really hard time rooting for them. You know? Yeah. Yeah, so far I've gotten emails, and it's not actually Febreze, right? It's scammers pretending to be big companies, hoping most of the time it's hoping small small YouTubers or whomever will be like, oh, look, and like they're so desperate to believe it's true that they just kind of ignore the red flags, is what they're hoping for. But it's funny to see what they send me. I've had Doritos, Aquafina, Febreze, you know. I like the Cubs. The Cubs have Tucker, though, and I'm still mad the Astros traded Tucker. You know, I went to Michigan, and they were all Cubs fans. And I didn't really know who was on the Cubs. I couldn't really remember where Tucker had gotten traded to. And so I was, like, looking up who was on the Cubs. And there he was, man. And they were like, yeah, Tucker's good. And I was like, yeah, I know. Anyways, Nasdaq's pushing up. We're at 815s right now, 815s. Gold up to 38.41s. Still sideways. I'm going to wait for it to break out of a range. I still think it's probably long-term cheap to buy gold here. I might be wrong. I think gold wants to move up and test 4,000. I don't know if it's going to, and I think if it does, it might come right back down, but I think gold wants 4K. It got up to 3,900 early this morning at 2 a.m. Tigers meltdown, LSU? I don't know, man. Ole Miss is just good. I think Ole Miss is just good this year. Yeah, the scammers will say, I wanted to personally reach out to everyone due to the market fluctuations to know how it's going so far. Hope my info and analysis are very great. Pawn sent me this, is what the scammers send. Pretending to be him in my Discord, right? Feel free to reach out to me if you're facing new challenges. I will never send you a message like this. Like, I will never send you a message like this. Robinhood's been ripping up right now. Again, Nike earnings are coming out this evening, I think, right? We'll see what Nike does. Nasdaq did push over this range here. Yeah, that sounds way too well written. Yeah. Because if I said anything, I'd just be like, yo, trade's good, bro? Question mark, you know? I got scammed into liking and subscribing here years ago, and you're still here, Keith, you know? Markets are interesting right now. We're heading into the shutdown potential. If we take a look at the NQ, though, we're slightly red, but not super red on the day. Last time I looked at it, we were at least. Yeah, we're slightly red, not super red. NASDAQ closed, or the QQQ closed at 598.70s. We're at 598.20, so we're basically flat for a lot of stuff. Gold sideways. I think markets are just waiting for the shutdown news. We go into the Fed meeting next month. We've got labor reports that are supposed to come out. They might get pushed back. We'll see what happens leading into it. I tend to think we're going to shut down this time, but I might be wrong. Bit of a 3% correction on the SPY. What, I mean, you mean this? This is the big 3% correction. I mean, we're basically down, what, 667 to 663s? That's less than 1% from all-time highs in the SPY. So we're less than 1% down from all-time highs in the SPY. We're at basically 664. It's at 667. So that's like 0.5% from all-time highs. We did dip all the way down to 654, but we've rebounded the last 3 days straight, really, in the SPY at least. The shutdown news will be at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight is when the deadline is to get a deal done. We could really get updates leading into that all day. We don't really know, but yeah, we could get stuff leading into this all day. We don't know. It just depends. They could get a deal done late minute, last minute. They could get a continuing resolution. And again, just to put this into perspective, I'll go over this again. One side's insisting that any stopgap funding must include an extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. The other side's pushing for clean continuing resolution without these add-ons. We got Medicaid cuts, health provisions that they're pushing for. All right, I love you. Hey. All right. Yeah. So anyways, one side wants to reverse or prevent the cuts to Medicaid health programs. GOP leaders are resisting that as part of the shutdown avoidance bill, arguing they should be debated later on. One side wants to attach and enforce policy changes like staffing reductions, rollbacks and regulatory and tariff measures, rollbacks and regulatory stuff, tariff measures, immigration and border enforcement to funding bills. The other side opposes that and sees them as extraneous demands that hold funding hostage to ideological goals. Hey, bro. Love you, man. Have a good day, dude. And so, yeah. One side wants a short-term funding extension, continuing resolution, CR, through November 21st. And so that would kind of push things back, kick the can down the road a little bit. But again, the White House has instructed agencies to prepare for mass firing of federal employees if funding lapses, which kind of makes the stakes higher. And so that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, I saw the CoreWeave news. The reason there's fear right now in terms of a shutdown is because of it's going to push back economic data, right? So if the government shuts down, essentially they have to get a deal done every year before September 30th ends. If they don't, they have to furlough federal employees, right? And if they do that, even if it's just for a day, the labor report on Friday is getting pushed back to next week on Friday, probably. And so it could happen differently, but if they shut down even for a day, the labor report's probably getting pushed back. And again, the president warned many employees might lose jobs if the government shuts down. NASDAQ's pushing up a little bit. We're at 817s right now, 817s. Yeah, but the president said to speak at 11, signed an executive order at 3 p.m. is what I've seen. We'll see if it's about the shutdown. Yeah, so the president basically said a lot of employees may be let go if there is a shutdown. Yeah, CoreWeave gets a $14 billion meta deal to supply computing power. Open still at 8s. Here's CoreWeave. Look at this news. Pumping CoreWeave up 133.70s right now. On target trade's doing much better. Look at the NASDAQ rip here. So, watching 833s up there maybe, but 815 still looks to be holding it. I don't think he speaks at 9. We got the Case-Shiller house price index in 22 minutes. We'll cover that. Yeah, he's using that as leverage, is what he's doing. Yeah, I mean, historically, the last shutdown, essentially what happened is we dropped because of the kind of unknown leading into the shutdown. And then once the shutdown happened and it lasted for 35 days, then I think the NASDAQ actually went up and ended green during the period of the shutdown, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen in this situation, but that's basically what happened last time. Okay, yeah, so if he's supposed to speak again at 9 a.m., it's not really relevant to what's going on here with the shutdown, but yeah. Yeah, oil, they're bumping up oil production. I think it's 500,000 barrels per day for the next 3 months, I think is what they said this morning. That's why oil, if you look at it like CL's down pretty big on this news. Like, maybe we'll see lower gas prices. Oil's been under 65, mostly. If they pass a resolution to fund the government and avoid a shutdown, NASDAQ could go to all-time highs today. It could. I don't know if it will. Nvidia is up on the day though, so like we do have Nvidia green on the day, holding, getting pretty close to all-time highs. And so yeah, Nvidia is right around all-time highs. And look at the NASDAQ start to head up a little bit here. The deadline is 11:59 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Also, y'all check out Top Step if you haven't yet. Great way to learn how to day trade. We're green on the day, and most day traders lose money. So if you fund your own account, 50K, 10K, 5K, you're probably going to lose that. Most day traders do. Doesn't matter where you go, what course you take, most day traders lose. So you can either fund your own account, trying to look cool in markets, or you could try Top Step. It's $50 a month. If you fail, you lose $50. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account. 90% split, best of both worlds, small risk, similar reward to funding your own account. And they pay out millions, fund thousands. It's just a great way to learn how to trade. You can also reset funded accounts now with their back to funded options. It's just really useful. And again, if you want to check it out, again, they are a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them. Understand all this stuff on screen, not an investment professional, but genuinely useful in my opinion. Helps traders learn with less risk, learn without the burn. And yeah, here's the link. Check it out. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. I see, we do have Nike earnings today. Yeah, CoreWeave pins $14 billion Meta deal to supply computing power. Let's see where Meta's going here. Meta's up on this deal. CoreWeave up on this deal. Nvidia moving up on this deal. Yeah, I think it's interesting because, again, Nvidia is close to all-time highs. Here's all-time highs right here for Nvidia. Right? That's all-time highs. And so Nvidia is getting very close. Very close. Yeah, I'm looking at 850s up here. But, Nvidia is very close to all-time highs. And if Nvidia gets that push up, maybe it'll drag the NASDAQ up with it. Gold coming down a little bit. Remember, we also get the Case-Shiller house price index going live at 9 o'clock. House price index expected at 1.7. Last time was 2.1. Yeah, so Hegseth says, I'll be making a speech on China soon. House Democrat leader Jeffrey says that the Dems are ready to find bipartisan path on spending on CNBC. Yeah, y'all give me a follow at Beginner Trades on X.com, at Beginner Trades, BEGINNERTRADES. We appreciate it. Long on Lululemon. Honestly, Lululemon might be cheap here. It really might be cheap. I said this a couple days ago. It was at like 59. Now it's 78, 178. It might be cheap down here. PE ratio is probably low, I'm assuming, as well. I think Lululemon still does good sales. I'm not saying it's going to hold. And I do think fashion and trends are changing, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer. And, you know, this thing is down 30-something% in like a month or two. So... yeah, gold at support, but the NASDAQ's pushing up, so we'll see kind of a different dynamic. All right. Ooh. I'm gonna see about 850s up here. Look at gold bounce. So yeah, you were right. 38.42s for gold. Boston Scientific affirms fiscal year 25 organic revenue view of 14 to 15% year over year. I don't think it's the girlies that are too stressed. I think what happens, and something that you see happen really regularly in fashion brands, is that new generations don't want to wear what their parents wore. And so you got like millennials on Lululemon a lot. And then after 2020, you had like leisure wear. Everybody's stuck at home. They wanted to wear yoga pants around. But now that dynamic is changing and less people are interested in it. And fashion changes. One thing's, it's cool one year, it's not cool the next, right? And I think that's why Lululemon's down so big. Will luxury watches go out of trend? again, watches are watches, right? It's a different market, right? Like if you bought a Rolex 30 years ago, you probably paid like $1,100 for it, right? You sell that same Rolex today, if it's the same Rolex and it's in good condition, you sell that same Rolex today for like 10, you know? And so Rolexes, some of them actually appreciate similar to other, you know, risk assets. Not all of them though, but as long as you take good care of it, you can generally, like, you can hate on Rolexes and stuff like that, and I get it, right? I'm definitely not buying like Pateks or Richard Milles. Those are so expensive that the price fluctuations are brutal. There's no way I'm buying those. But you can buy a Rolex and generally wear it for a few years and then sell it for similar to what you paid for it, or sometimes more, sometimes less. But I think that's a better option than like purses. You know, like people are talking about Birkin bags. Like, bro, $30,000 on a leather bag. Leather's gonna wear over time. You know, like it's just it's nonsensical. You know, even if you have the money for it, it's just kind of like I don't get it. You know. $30,000 on a leather bag. I couldn't do it. I don't care how much money I make. I just can't do it. All right, guys. Nasdaq's pulling back down. I kind of want to buy this dip here, but I'm worried we're gonna have a deeper flat trend. And so I'm pretty green on the day. I think I just gotta wait a little bit now. So House Minority Leader Jeffrey says, quote, "I won't endorse the my way or the highway approach." Again, the president said a lot of employees might be let go if there's a shutdown. Gold's ripping back up. Look at gold. Back up to 38.40s right now for gold. Oh no, the luxury watch market could certainly be like an indicator. And I like watches, right? Like I like watches, but like you can follow the economy through watches. Pretty easy to do. Like, look, here's the Rolex price market index. So, I mean, Rolexes are actually up a little bit on the year. The 3-month chart, you can see how green watches are. Rolexes up 1.5% in 3 months, 2.2% in 6, 1.2% on the year. So, but if you look longer term, here's all the easing we did from 2020, and here's inflation, right? You want to see watch prices go up, they rise with inflation. So by 2022, inflation spiked, right? Rolex's price of it doubled. If we look at a longer term graph here, you know, here's 2020, the super easing market of 2020, right? Bringing interest rates down here. Inflation spiked, and then the Fed started going hawkish, restrictive, pushing rates higher, trying to curb inflation. And so as inflation settled, so did the luxury watch market, and it settled out to right around here where it's at now. And that's the economy over the last 5 years, really. Nasdaq's still climbing up though, leading into the bell here. We got the Case-Shiller house price index in 8 minutes though. So if the government shuts down, will the market dump? I don't know. Sometimes the market goes down leading into it and then stabilizes afterwards, and then sometimes goes up. Last time it went up during the actual shutdown period. So Lagarde, ECB President Lagarde, says risks to inflation appear contained, well placed to respond to if inflation risks shift or new shocks emerge. Yeah, you're talking about like Vukum. What's his name? Vukum, the watch guy. I don't remember his name. It's something like that. I don't know. One thing I've learned is that easy money is not always easy. You know, like I'm sure they make more money. Like the margins don't look to be good flipping watches like that. And so, I'm sure they make more money making content about it. That's why you see so much content on it. I don't know, Straight Jacket. Ask your CPA, brother. I'm not a CPA, dude. From my understanding, and I might be wrong, wash sale rule basically stops you from writing off positions in which you're net flat or green on versus, you know. But I might be wrong. I don't know. Yeah, we got the Case-Shiller house price index dropping in 7 minutes. We'll see what happens with it. We got the JOLTS report at 10. All right, so they had a city analyst that raised gold prices. He said, having long since, and this is, I'm quoting this article, by the way. Yeah, so the president also, just real quick, says that maybe a lot, quote unquote, maybe a lot of workers would be laid off in the event of a shutdown. Anyways, back to this. Again, this is a city analyst on gold. He said, quote, gold is like the art market now, end quote, essentially having been disconnected itself from marginal production costs. This was said by Maximilian Layton as he lifted his target to $4,000 per ounce in the next quarter. I think gold wants 4,000 as well. I think 4,000, big round number. Got up to 3,900 early this morning. Layton remains tactically bullish despite the highest production margins in 55 years. He's reluctant to call a ceiling on the commodity of gold given the abundance of cyclical and structural tailwinds. He believes momentum will be sustained through the fourth quarter. Nvidia's still pushing up too. Look at Nvidia rise. Nasdaq's going up with it. Meta's up as well, helping push the market up. Right, like day trading, you can't write off your losses. That would be ridiculous, you know. I mean, you could write off your total losses, but I don't know. Ask your CPA. I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking at what the president says here. He had to post, right? All right, guys, we got the Case-Shiller house price index in 4 minutes. We're going to get a look at house prices. Expectations are 1.7%. Last time was 2.1% year over year. The Case-Shiller house price index. Yeah, I'm curious about gold. Gold bouncing back up a little bit here. I did take a position on gold just now, and we're going to cover the Case-Shiller House Price Index. But we're up. I'm going to start scaling out of it up here some too, just to lock it in. Yeah, so we're over $200 in profit now. That's nice. All right, we took a little bit more. Hold the rest break even or so. All right, we're out. All right, Case-Shiller House Price Index drops in about a minute. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on the stream so that you can catch it immediately. All right, here we go. Case-Shiller House Price Index supposed to drop in about 40 seconds. Again, put it in 2x speed, hit the live button, you'll catch up. We got about an hour before the JOLTS report. Remember, we got the JOLTS job report at 10 a.m. This is we also have the ADP non-farm employment change data tomorrow, which is not government data. So we're gonna get that tomorrow, even if the government shuts down. It's gonna be at 8:15 tomorrow. But yeah, we'll see what Case-Shiller House Price Index shows up. Again, it's expected at 1.7%, 1.7. And here's the report right now. Let's see if it moves anything. Okay, Case-Shiller 1.8% versus 1.7%. 1.8% versus 1.7% expected. So pretty close to flat and everything here. Slightly more positive on everything, on a couple different things month over month. Minus 0.1% versus minus 0.2%, and 1.8% versus 1.7% expected. So a little bit stronger than expected house price index. So markets aren't really going to move from this report. I'm just covering it because it's out. And then we got the JOLTS report going live in in an hour. All right, guys. So I'm watching gold still. Do you guys think gold hits 4,000 in the next 60 days? I think it's definitely possible. I think gold wants 4,000 right now. It's one of these numbers for a minute. Question is, where does it dip to if it makes another test? Yeah, if government shuts down, it can hit it tomorrow. Yeah, for sure. All right, NASDAQ pulling back, gold's pulling back a little bit as well. Nvidia's dipping, but still up pretty elevated here. Yeah, you might be a little delayed, Texas. A lot of people are optimistic on Bitcoin from the shutdown. We'll see. Bitcoin down on the day though, man. It closed the day at about 115s in Bitcoin futures. It's down to 113s now, so it's down. But again, a lot of the time leading into shutdowns we drop, and then during the shutdown itself we move up. But we're gonna keep trying to find the breaking news as it happens here. Fed Collins says inflation is elevated into next year, then should ease. Risk of the labor demand could ebb and push up unemployment. Economic growth has been resilient amid softer jobs market. Can't rule out worse outlook for inflation, job market, for inflation and the labor market. While inflation threat remains, upside risk to price pressures have waned. Baseline outlook is relatively benign and expects hiring to rebound once firms acclimate to tariffs. They said Fed Collins says it may be appropriate to cut rates again if data supports easing. They supported recent Fed rate cut given risk to the Fed mandates, and its modestly restrictive monetary policy is appropriate due to the inflation risks. Google also rolled out visual search in AI mode. And again, Collins said it may be appropriate to ease a bit further in 2025. But yeah, I mean, if we take a look at the odds for rates right now, last time I looked, it was 92%. It's actually gone a little bit over that now. So it was like 91 point something this morning. It is now at 92.5% likely that we're going to cut 25 basis points in October now. And so again, it's very likely we're going to cut rates in October at this point in time. This is subject to change. Granted that we get the economic data we need to see if it changes, right? I think this is going to stay pretty much flat here. Or odds of rate cuts might actually go up if we do not get, if the government shuts down and the data gets pushed back. Odds of rate cuts might actually increase, I think, because that's what's the most probable outcome right now, and we can't really get any data that changes it. Again, we get ADP employment data tomorrow at 8:15 regardless of the shutdown because it's private data. But like BLS data, payroll, CPI, that type of data is going to get delayed if the shutdown lasts a long time. I might buy gold here, see if we bounce. We're at the 200 exponential, so we might take a little position here. See? I'll come back to this. I want to put the NASDAQ up so we can track the NASDAQ a little bit easier. The NASDAQ's dipping here. My gold just spiked up. Here, I'll put this up just so you can see my entries and exits here, but last year they didn't shut down. The last time the government shut down was 2018, 2019. We actually haven't shut down in 5 years. Now, there's always risk to a shutdown every year. They're like, oh, we're going to shut down. We're going to shut down. And most of the time they get a deal done. I think this time it's less likely, though. But, you know, I hope they do. Like, I'm going to celebrate if they do because I cover all the economic data. All right, so we're going to cut this. We've taken a couple positions where, like, we've gotten green pretty quickly, taken profit, and then it's come right back down to my entry, and so we just kind of get out flat on the rest. And even though they're small trades, if we were to have run up much bigger on this, it would have been easier and we would have made more. But sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, you know. All right, look at that level here, bouncing right at 816s, 815s. Yeah, GameStop's been up the last few days. Up to 27s. I mean, it's not bad for GameStop. All right, we got the JOLTS job report today, guys. JOLTS job report. See what happens. So we got the JOLTS job report 10 a.m. See what that looks like. Isn't the president speaking? Let me see what he's saying. SEC weighs letting stocks trade like crypto. The information reports. Collins says it might be appropriate to cut rates again if data supports easing. Yeah. Okay, we got the Case-Shiller house price index. Again, Lagarde just spoke. Higher JOLTS is better for the economy. It means a stronger labor market. Now, how the market would respond to that is always debatable, but higher JOLTS means stronger jobs. So. Yeah, I think the president, he was scheduled to speak at 9, somebody said, but generally speaking, they're a little bit later. Based on your analysis, it will be higher or lower. The JOLTS report, I have no idea what the JOLTS report is going to be. Like, I can make guesses on inflation. And sometimes I'm kind of accurate with like CPI inflation predictions. I had a string of where I got like 6 in a row right or something crazy like that. But everything else, I have no freaking idea where we're going to show up as. I don't know why I can predict CPI either. I think I just look at I look at balance with CPI, but I don't know what that means. As for JOLTS, I have no idea what the JOLTS are going to show. Same thing with like non-farm payrolls. If they do, stocks will crash. What are you talking about? If the government shuts down? Not necessarily. Most of the time, no. Government shutdown just means we're not paying federal employees. And they got to furlough and basically sit out and wait. You know, generally speaking, it might make gold go up. Might make stocks drop a little bit leading into the potential shutdown. And then if we do actually shut down, most of the time markets stabilize. They don't necessarily crash. You never know. Anything could happen. There's always variance, but yeah. Yeah, we got the JOLTS report. See what how the market behaves. I think we have Chicago PMI as well before. Yeah, it's expected at 7.19 million. All right, look at the NASDAQ bounce back up here, right at that 815, 816 level. Does Congress still get paid during a government shutdown? Yes. So it's only for non-essential. The furlough is only for non-essential employees, is what the non-essential. Yeah. So the non-essential ones are furloughed and don't get paid until funding resumes. Usually Congress will pass a law to give them back pay. But congressional salaries are protected by the Constitution. So they're going to get paid, you know. If they didn't, maybe we'd have less government shutdowns. but yeah. How many reports this week that are non-government? Jobless claims, non-government, ADP non-farm employment change data tomorrow at 8:15. Non-government. It's private. It's ADP data. So Collins said inflation risks remain and the Fed should focus on both sides of the mandate. Yeah. Again, OPEC Plus is going to consider bigger November oil output increases of 411,000 barrels per day at the meeting on Sunday, according to 2 sources. Also, the Fed's Collins said reading the economy is complicated right now. Well, yeah, because we got high inflation and weak labor, which sometimes precedes a recession, called stagflation data. You know, and sometimes stagflation can sometimes precede a recession. It's the worst of both. It's high inflation, weak labor. So. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes. Remember, we got the JOLTS job report at 10 a.m. today. Yeah, I don't trust the government. I don't know anybody that should. I've never understood people who are like, yeah, government looks out for us. Do they? I don't know. I'm not going to go too political. I'm very neutral politically, but I don't trust the government. I hope they get a deal done, though. The E-mini is not tradable currently. Are you sure? Like, I've seen enough sci-fi movies not to trust the government, you know. Gold pushing up 38.40s. Again, I think gold wants 4,000, man, and I think if we do shut down, gold might hit 4K. $1,000 to win 5,000 on government not shutting down. Yeah, but that's only 20% odds. So that's basically saying you get 20% odds of the government not shutting down. That's about right. 20% chance the government doesn't shut down. That's probably about right. The question you have to ask yourself when you're doing that is it a plus EV bet? Meaning, long term, if you consistently make bets like this, will you make money? And I think it's probably pretty flat. I think, I don't think that's going to be like a super winning long-term play, is taking, like, you know, I think you got to find higher probability things to get. I mean, maybe listen, I'm not telling you not to do it. I think there's a chance the government doesn't shut down, and maybe it's confirmation bias on my end. Like, I don't want the government to shut down. I'd rather be able to cover the labor report on Friday. But, you know, as a poker player, you got to look at it whether it's plus expected value. Like, do you expect to consistently make money from that type of thing? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't do it, you know. But again, I don't know what you should do. Not a professional. Don't copy me. They never shut down. Last time was in 2019, so it was 5-6 years ago. Are we dumping at the opening bell? Maybe. It's possible. Today's the deadline for the gov shutdown, so it's possible. Fed Collins says no longer as large a tariff inflation impact. Households still worried about inflation pressures and modestly or mildly restrictive stance is appropriate. Do you guys agree with her? Collins said also the Fed did not lay out a preset path at the September FOMC. Reading the economy is complicated, expects tariffs to feed through but sees smaller impact and must be aware that long periods of high inflation can shift psychology. Healthy for Fed officials to show a range of views. Russia also extended its gasoline export ban until the end of the year, according to the government there. You wait until fear is highest and bet against it. Yeah, sure. If you can find discrepancies. Listen, I always try to say this because it's important for people to understand, because I think a lot of young people get wrapped up in like the betting culture. And I get it, right? Like, I love poker. Poker is one of my favorite games in the world. I've played it for a long time. But the difference is that poker, you're playing against the player and you can have a big statistical edge playing against the player. Betting, you're playing against the company. And so, and a lot of the time there's freaking mathematician odds makers. And so they are going to make the odds so slim, so tight, based off of everything they can. That, can you find discrepancies in the odds? Sure. If you're good enough, they're probably going to boot you off the platform anyway. And the people who do it the most successfully essentially play arbitrage. They look for those discrepancies on a number of different sites, and they play off of them that way, right? But again, if you do it long enough, you're going to get booted off anyway, you know? And so you got all these people selling picks and all these different picks of all these different things and betting, sports, and all this nonsense. And they're trying to charge hundreds of dollars per pick, but there's so much variance from these, right? Like, the real people that do it successfully don't do that. Like, instead, they take a number of different bets. And if they can make like a couple percent, 3, 4, 5%, that's a win. And then they do it again the next day. And they use volume of arbitrage to do it. But again, unfortunately, a lot of people have realized that you can essentially sell people picks pretending to be the greatest and sell people picks. And like, you see a lot of that going on right now, unfortunately. Yeah, and y'all are essentially talking about derivatives markets, and you know, maybe there's some good bets. I'm not saying there's not. I don't know. All right, Nasdaq's flattening out here. We got 9 minutes left. Yeah. All right, guys, we got 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Are you trading gold? If gold looks good, I'll trade it. I gotta wait, though. I'm waiting for the opening bell. We got 8 minutes. We got the JOLTS job report at 10, so I'm thinking maybe we get chopped. We could also get a sell-off. Since it's preceding the government shutdown, sometimes preceding it, we can sell off, right? I'm not saying we do. That's something I'm looking for. Yeah. President's supposed to speak at 11 a.m., which is it's 9:22 a.m. right now, so we got like an hour and 38 minutes. And so we'll see what he says. What do you guys think he's gonna say? Will it influence markets? Will it be about the government shutdown? Will it be about other stuff? Probably. Seven minutes left, chat. So again, the SEC reportedly moving, and maybe I was wrong about this. I thought it would be a lot longer before stocks moved on chain. But the SEC is reportedly moving to allow stocks to trade like crypto, where stocks would trade on chain. Under the plan, investors could buy tokens on exchanges that represent shares of companies like Tesla or Nvidia. I still think we're going to have the conventional markets, though. I think it's going to be a long time until it completely replaces it. But I think something, yeah, I think we're going to be able to do it on chain, though, eventually. Maybe much sooner than I originally thought, but a complete switch is going to take longer. Gold dipping down here. See if there's a reason. China is probing quant trader Tower research over chip imports, according to the Financial Times. All right, guys, we got 6 minutes until the open. I don't know. I hear it's 11 a.m. I don't even see the 9 a.m. speech. Well, yeah, I'm just waiting. Looking at Nvidia. Nvidia's still at 182.50. So again, I think Nvidia is very close to all-time highs. And I think the closer it gets, the more probable it is that it tests them. DoorDash unveils delivery robot powered by its autonomous delivery platform to accelerate local commerce. What kind of delivery robot, bro, do you have, DoorDash? All right, let me see this robot. Bro, this DoorDash delivery bot's gonna get robbed. Look. Said DoorDash delivery robot is right here. Look at this thing. They gave it eyes. It's got a soul patch right here. You know? It's the coolest robot ever. Are you bullish on the delivery robot for DoorDash? It might not be a terrible idea if they get a bunch of these in a short proximity. But I think this is probably for businesses to use. Like, you could buy a DoorDash robot and have the robot deliver your food for you. As long as it doesn't get run over, which, you know. All right, chat. 3 minutes. Yeah, we got Chicago PMI at 945. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, here, I'm going to mute this so I can listen to it. All right, guys, the opening bell. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Again, Fed Collins says AI will be disruptive, but it's hard to say how. I don't think it's hard to say how. I think it's pretty easy to see how AI is going to disrupt the labor market. It's going to replace jobs. And there's going to be certainly a transitional period in terms of jobs and labor from AI. I think that's very obvious. I think it's going to affect a lot of different things. Here's the speech right here if y'all want to listen to it. I'm waiting for him to say something important. I'll report it to you guys. He's just kind of rambling right now. I mean, he's not, I mean, he's thanking people. He's addressing the senior leadership. Department of Defense. All right, guys. So yeah, we're hanging out, waiting for the opening bell in about a minute here. All right, so I'm listening to it, but I'm gonna put it on the background for now. He said the internet was gonna end jobs too. Yeah, no, I think AI is gonna create jobs as well. But the internet did affect jobs. Like, look at dollar stores, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, mom and pop brick and mortar stores. It certainly affected jobs, and it changed the landscape of things, is what it did, right? And AI will do the same. Again, we got 30 seconds here, chat. 30 seconds. I think it's reasonable fears, right? I think it's reasonable things to fear, right? But yeah. Yeah. Well, no, the internet certainly created jobs, a lot of jobs, arguably more jobs, right? And I think AI will as well. Again, personally, I think the next big step is that we're going to get humanoid robots implanted with AI. There's the opening bell. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. But I think the next step is humanoid robots with AI. NASDAQ pushing up a little bit at the open. Or no, this is the E-mini. I think the NASDAQ is as well, though. Let me put this up. Yeah, the president's basically talking about how he changed the name of the Gulf and the Department of Defense right now, I think. We'll continue to give updates if they're important, you know. All right, so NASDAQ's coming down a little bit. I think this makes sense too, but it really depends. We could have chop as well. We're only about a minute into the opening bell here, so. The government shutdown means that non-essential government employees don't get paid. And we also don't get economic reports like CPI potentially later next month, as well as this Friday's non-farm payroll report and labor report, unemployment report. And without that data, the Fed's essentially flying blind. They don't have the data they need to make the decisions as accurately, if that makes sense. That's the risk of the government shutdown. Now, the non-essential furloughed employees will get back pay once the government resumes. The president is also threatening to fire people as leverage as well, and like the others, like both sides are political posturing right now. That's how it goes, you know. All right, guys, we're 2 minutes into the day. NASDAQ is down slightly. Amazon's dropping. Nvidia is actually slightly green since the opening bell. Gold's pulling back some here. Yeah, CoreWeave had big news from Meta in it, and it's up to 136s right now. Meta down a little bit, so. AMD microchips dropping down. All right, we're at 24.8s. See if we keep breaking down here. Amazon's breaking down. Gold's spiking higher. President said yesterday we might have settled the biggest war of all. Trying to wait for more info here. NASDAQ still falling down some here. Look at this drop in the NQ. Big drops. He wants to get the two sides overseas to get together. But they're not working together, basically, is what he said. NASDAQ's dipping hard here at the opening bell. We're still covering what the president says. Remember, we got the JOLTS job report later. All right, NASDAQ down a little bit, gold elevated. NASDAQ still dipping heavy here. Right, we got in a little bit of gold. About the dip. We're up. Take a little bit off here. It's pretty close to the bell, but we're in gold right now. All right, so now we're over $300. Still grinding it up. President vowed to make military stronger and more powerful. Collins said strong equity markets boost household wealth and have buoyed consumption. I think the PDT rule change is good. Remember, we got Chicago PMI in not that long, in like 10 minutes. I'm gonna put the NASDAQ back up. Nvidia rising higher here. Look at gold still shoot up more. Remember, we got the JOLTS job report in 25 minutes. I'll put a timer up here. The JOLTS report. All right, here's a timer for the JOLTS report. I'll put this up on screen now on the bottom. The JOLTS job report today is expected at 7.19 million. Previous of 7.18 million. Higher is bullish for labor. All right, so NASDAQ cracked lows again. Testing the lows of the day now. Just broke lows of the day for a second here. Still falling. Yeah, fears leading into the shutdown, I think, makes sense. JOLTS generally affects the market. No, the PDT rule is going to be reduced, I think, to 2,000. So you only need $2,000 to day trade. The president said, quote, "We're 25 years ahead of Russia and China on submarines." Yeah, I think it'll get some volume too. Look at gold still pushing up here. Gold just broke highs of the last few hours here, starting to rip. I think gold wants 4,000 leading into the shutdown. I don't know if it's going to hit it. Maybe it'll hit it after. We'll see what JOLTS does here. 10 a.m. Eastern time is when JOLTS releases. All right, guys. NASDAQ still falling. Let's watch 735s. Again, we got the JOLTS report at 10 a.m. We got Chicago PMI. Chicago PMI is the Purchasing Managers Index. It's expected to drop at 43.4 for September. It's basically looking at Chicago manufacturing. So over 50 means expansion. Below 50 means a contraction. They're expected at 43.4. Last time was 41.5, so a little bit better than last time expected, but still contractions. The president's essentially saying or Fed's Collins still speaking. It's still the president's basically talking about submarines right now. Collins says it's still early days on how tariffs will play out. Strong equity markets boost household wealth and buoyed consumption. Yeah, we still need firms. Because there's people that want to get started for $50 or $100 versus 2,000. So I still think firms are still useful. All right, guys. Look how sideways Nvidia is. Amazon down. I'm gonna buy gold here, I think. We can catch something here. Okay, we got Chicago PMI dropping pretty soon. And so I'm gonna be a little bit tighter on this position. Put the NASDAQ up. Amazon's still breaking down here. There you go. Okay, we got Chicago PMI in about 2.5 minutes. We get Chicago PMI expected at 43.4. Hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. We got JOLTS in 15, 17 minutes, 16 minutes. All right, guys, we got 2 minutes left. I'm gonna go ahead and cut a piece here just to lock it in. We got the we got the Purchasing Managers Index, Chicago PMI data coming live soon. President said we're dominating Space Force. Ugh. Yeah, the president said I sent a submarine or two over to the coast of Russia. It's just lurking, and he's sure we won't have to use it. NASDAQ rebounding back up. Gold still breaking highs up here. Chicago PMI drops in about 20 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're caught up on stream. All right, here's the data right here. 20 seconds. Again, it's expected at 43.4. 43.4. We'll see if this affects markets in September. So NASDAQ still pushing here. And here's the report in 5 seconds. 43.4 is expected and ended up showing up. And now, right now, at 40.6, weaker than expected. Chicago PMI 40.6 versus 43.4 expected. Again, 40.6 versus 43.4 expected. Midnight's actually, yeah, I mean. How did you sell ARP? What do you mean? You talking about gold? Gold's pushed up. I went long on gold. All right, guys. So again, Chicago PMI came out weaker than expected. Hello? All right, guys. Sorry, I'm back. NASDAQ still trying here. NVIDIA pulling back a little bit. Gold steady pushing up. I think a lot of people are expecting gold to push. But again, PMI came in weak. It's just Chicago PMI. There it is right there. All right, JOLTS report, 13 minutes. Chat, 13 minutes. Will the JOLTS report come in higher or lower than expected? President's still speaking right now, by the way. Where'd he go? I don't think he's saying anything big as of now. Yeah, NVIDIA getting very close to all-time high. Look at gold continue to rise here. Yeah, we got the JOLTS report going live in 11 minutes, 11 and a half minutes. Everything's still rising here, though. Gold's pushing up steady. Bitcoin, since the opening bell, is up. It's back up to 114s, which is good. NVIDIA pushing up as well. Tech boosting a little bit higher here. Are you guys red or green since the opening bell, chat? President said I said tariffs is my favorite word. Yeah, so he's still speaking.
was strange. And the fake news came over and they really hit me hard on it. They said, what about love? What about religion? What about God? What about wife, family? I got killed when I said tariff is my favorite word. So I changed it. It's now my 5th favorite word. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But they hit me hard. But
all right, so that's the president speaking again. We're still waiting. I think he did mention some stuff about the shutdown, and that might have made the markets drop, but let me see. He said we've taken trillions of dollars. Let me see. Yeah, gold steady pushing higher here. Again, we got the JOLTS report in 10 minutes. That's what we're here to cover. Bitcoin dipping down a little bit with everything else now. NASDAQ pulling back. Nvidia dipping to 183s. Nvidia's getting close to all-time highs, though. That's the only thing that makes me kind of optimistic in it. But we are looming into that. I'm going to buy this here and see if we can take some micro NQ positions. We're already up 330 or so on the day. I'm going to add into 65 and hope we get a bounce here. If we don't, I'll just cut it quick. There we go. There we go. I'm going to liquidate a third. Hoping we bounce at 6.5. Doesn't look like we want to, though. Little liquidity grab here. Okay, we took another little piece of that off. 2 left. I want to give it time to bounce a little bit harder, though. Again, we got 8 minutes until the JOLTS report. Looks heavy, though, to me. Yeah, 10 a.m. JOLTS job report. Yeah, it was heavy, so we're going to go ahead and cut this. We only lost a small amount here. Might bounce right here at 55s, but just broke under my risk level. Yeah, Robinhood up to 140s right now. Going crazy here. Again, I'm waiting for JOLTS, chat. I am waiting for JOLTS report to show up. Buyers trying to hold it. I don't know. I'm looking at Nvidia. If Nvidia makes a push towards all-time highs, that's kind of what makes me more optimistic here. You know. I'm using Top Step's funded account program. They give you a 50K demo, test your skill. No PDT rule in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow. Very similar to day trading stocks. No PDT rule. You can get started for 50 bucks. Pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. Understand all the stuff on screen, but genuinely useful. Let you get started for cheap, 50 bucks. And you're risking something. So you're learning how to trade under pressure, which is something you need. A lot cheaper than losing 2 or 3 grand funding your own account, to be honest. You can check it out right there if you want to help support the channel. With that said, though, we're heading into the JOLTS report in 6 minutes. 6 minutes, guys. NASDAQ is around lows of the day. Gold is pushing up. Nvidia is sitting pretty close to all-time highs, only a couple bucks away from all-time highs. So Nvidia is about, what, 2%? A little bit less than 2% away from all-time highs. NASDAQ just cracked lows again. We got the JOLTS report in 5 minutes here. Should we trust these job numbers? Yes, with a degree of skepticism is what I do. Like, I look at the numbers. Do I trust them completely? No. Do I use them to kind of guide where we're at? Sure. Can I recognize that they might be wrong? Absolutely. You know, and I think that's the way you got to do it. Like, I look at them, I interpret them with a degree of skepticism. You know. Yeah, NASDAQ cracking lows. Nvidia pulling back big here. Look at Nvidia. This dip is from Nvidia right now. Nvidia at 182.20s, leading into this labor report. Trump said he's gonna announce a drug pricing deal with Pfizer. That Pfizer is gonna sell drugs through Medicaid at lower prices. Colin said on the inflation side, we are not out of the woods. All right, guys, 4 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. We appreciate it. Again, JOLTS report. You can see the expected numbers at the bottom of the screen. They drop at 10 a.m. in 4 minutes. They are expected at 7.19. I think last time they showed up at 7.18 million. He's talking about Boeing right now. All right, guys, 4 minutes. Three and a half minutes left until JOLTS. Nvidia bouncing back up a little bit. Gold dipping down some here, but and here goes JOLTS. 3.5 minutes. Bullish or bearish on JOLTS today? You guys bull or bear on JOLTS? Three minutes left. The president said, I've committed to spending over $1 trillion on the military next year in 2026. Colin said not having BLS data over time would be problematic. Again, JOLTS is expected at 7.19. Again, JOLTS expected at 7.19 million. Previous was we got 2 minutes left. Previous was 7.18. All right, guys, let's get ready. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're caught up on the stream. Bear, dump, bear, bearish, bullish, bull, forever bull. Dump didn't even start yet. Microchip ETF. Yeah, I could turn the music down slightly. All right, guys, Nvidia starting to push back up a little bit. Maybe we're going to get a rebound in the NASDAQ if Nvidia starts to push. Again, we got a minute and a half left. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Bear? Yeah. Again, hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed, and you'll be caught up on the stream. You can leave it in 2x speed to make sure you don't get lagged behind because of latency problems. About a minute left. All right, here we go. Nvidia bouncing back up to 183s. 184.50s is the all-time high on Nvidia, so it's very close to all-time highs. All right, here we go. 40 seconds. You get expected at 7.19. We got about 25 seconds, a little bit less than that now. Put the SPY up here instead to watch that. We got the gold price here. We can watch like the dollar index. All right, this timer's a little bit early. It's a little bit early. We still got about 10 seconds. There's the dollar index. All right, here we go. 50 seconds, or 10 seconds, 5 seconds really. Here's the report right now. All right, so there's the release of the report. JOLTS 7.227 million. 7.227 million. Again, 7.227. 7.227 million versus 7.19 million expected. Dollar index is pushing up a little bit. We'll see how this affects things. But again, 7.227 million versus 7.19 million expected. They also revised the last time down 7.208 million. 7.208 million. So they revised the last one up a little bit. It was 7.18. It's now at 7.2. So showing a little bit stronger job market than expected here. CB consumer confidence showed 94.2 versus 96. 94.2 versus 96. A little bit weaker consumer confidence, but the JOLTS report was stronger than expected here. Again, 7.22 million versus 7.227 million. They revised the last one up to 7.208 from 7.18 million. And CB consumer confidence came in weaker than expected at 94.2 versus 96. CB consumer confidence showed up at 94.2 versus 96 expected. So weaker than expected. And I'll put this data up on screen. JOLTS better than expected, stronger than expected. However you want to look at it though. CB consumer confidence weaker than expected. All right, guys. So that is the JOLTS report. It's now past 10 a.m. Markets are pretty flat and sideways here. So, yeah, tomorrow we'll see if the government shuts down, chat. We'll see if the government shuts down. If they do, we're not going to have a payroll report this week. So if they do shut down, we're not going to have a payroll report. And, yeah, NASDAQ's starting to rebound up a little bit. We'll see if that holds. Yeah, I mean, it affected the market slightly, but I think the market's waiting for the shutdown news. I also see Nvidia getting basically at all-time highs right now. Nvidia's testing all-time highs, so I'm going to stick around and cover Nvidia here. I'm surprised the NASDAQ's not following this up more. Look at Nvidia. I think Nvidia's going to break all-time highs right now. To the point where I even might want to day trade Nvidia. Let's see. Play with it a little bit here. It's so close to all-time highs, I think it wants to at least test it. Try to add a little bit more. Little day trade, small. Alright, there's all-time highs for Nvidia, just tapped it. Nvidia's new all-time highs now 184.75s. Nvidia's still pushing up. I'm gonna take half off. Very small. Yeah, Nvidia just broke all-time highs. Nvidia's still pushing up, dragging the NASDAQ higher here. Nvidia new all-time highs 184.90, just broke it again. I think it wants 185s. See if it does. Yeah, I mean, short-term directions in markets, you know, it shouldn't make anybody emotional necessarily. They're just directions. Like, nobody knows what markets are going to do short-term. You can be bearish long-term, and, you know, short-term movement has no significance. Again, I think it made sense to be bullish over the last 10 minutes because I've said it many times. I think Nvidia, as it's closer to that all-time high, I'm going to cut this here. As it gets closer to that all-time high, it just becomes much more probable it's at least going to test that level versus getting really close to all-time high and not breaking it. I think the momentum starts to step in. Now, sometimes we tap it and then come right back down. But yeah. There's so much variance short term. Yeah, the shutdown is the big thing right now. It's what's going on. All right, see, now we're coming right back down. Gold pushing higher on this news as well. You guys red or green today? All right, we're at 765s. Let's see if we hold. Gold still pushing up at 3860s. Green, red, blue, purple, green, green. Break even, greenish, green, green. Yeah. I think the president's still speaking. I don't think he's saying anything super market moving though. Let me check. Yeah, so U.S. Conference Board's consumer average 12-month inflation expectations picked up 3 consecutive months of easing and reached 6.2% in August, up from 5.7% in July, but still below the April peak of 7%. 7%. Nasdaq coming down, gold still elevated at 38, almost 38.70. SPY reversing. Nvidia tapped all-time highs, pulled right back into it. All right, look at gold. Gold up to 38.63s. Also, guys, you want to help support the channel, check out Top Step. No PDT and futures. You can day trade the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow, Russell, gold, currencies, commodities. Very similar to day trading stocks, and most day traders lose money. So it doesn't matter what course you take, who you follow, most day traders are going to lose. Makes a lot more sense to try for $50 a month on Top Step, and if you fail, you lose $50. And most day traders lose regardless of where they go, versus funding thousands into your own account and probably losing that. If you want to check it out, they are a sponsor of mine. I am biased. I get paid by them. Listen, guys, as soon as we close this stream, it's immediately going to bring you to tomorrow's stream. And tomorrow we'll figure out if the government gets shut down. Again, the deadline is 11:59 p.m. Eastern time tonight. 11:59 p.m. Eastern time tonight is when the shutdown news is going to hit. Right. We'll know if we're shutting down by 12 midnight tonight. And so we will see if that happens. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. And again, as soon as we close this down, it's going to immediately pivot you to the stream for tomorrow. I expect you guys to sit there and wait the entire time. No bathroom breaks, no music. All right. That's what I expect. I'll see you guys tomorrow. October 1st tomorrow. Just joking for liability reasons. But, you know. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Again, y'all have a great day. Let me make sure it brings you guys here. Yeah, I'll see you guys over there. Y'all be safe. Have a great day.